In the rolling hills of the Colorado Plateau, a group of 5 young Navajo hunters set out on a journey that would soon turn from adventure to nightmare. It was an unusually cold autumn day, and the elders had warned them to stick to familiar hunting grounds. But youth is often driven by curiosity, and the group found themselves venturing further into the wilderness than they ever had before. Among them was Mosi, the eldest and most experienced. He was tall, with sharp, vigilant eyes that rarely missed a sign of danger. Beside him were his younger brothers, Akecheta and Mado, and 2 friends from a neighboring tribe, Chayton and Wicasa. They had come in search of game, following a herd of deer that had strayed deeper into the forest than expected. As dusk settled over the land, they stumbled upon a cave hidden within a deep ravine, its entrance a yawning maw of darkness. The air outside the cave was unnaturally cool, and the wind that rushed out of its mouth carried with it an unsettling, sour smell. Mosi felt the hairs on his neck rise. He whispered to the others, "This is not a good place. We should turn back." But Akecheta, eager to prove his worth, scoffed. "You're too cautious, brother. The deer ran in here, didn't they? We're not going back empty-handed." Against his better judgment, Mosi relented, and the group lit their torches, plunging into the depths of the earth. The cave's walls were lined with ancient markings, symbols from an old world, carved by hands long forgotten. As they walked, their footsteps echoed ominously through the narrow tunnel. They had been inside for only a short time when Mado noticed something strange. "There's no sound," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the crackling of the torches. "Where are the animals? No bats, no insects, nothing." Before anyone could respond, the tunnel opened up into a massive chamber. The ceiling was lost in the gloom, but their flickering light revealed twisted, jagged stalagmites rising from the ground like the teeth of some primordial beast. And there, near the far wall, lay the bones. Hundreds, maybe thousands, of bleached white animal skeletons, some cracked and broken, others still intact. The hunters froze. A terrible sense of dread fell over them. But before they could retreat, a low, rumbling hiss filled the chamber. The sound was like the scraping of stone on stone, and it vibrated through their bones. A massive shadow shifted near the ceiling, descending slowly from the darkness. Mosi's heart pounded in his chest. "We have to go. Now." But it was too late. The creature emerged fully into the light, a spider, larger than any beast they could have imagined. Its many eyes glittered like shards of obsidian, and its massive legs clicked against the stone as it moved. Black and sleek, its body glistened with a sickening, oily sheen, and its fangs, each as long as a spear, dripped with venom. Chayton screamed as the spider lunged, moving with a speed that defied its size. It impaled him with a single strike, his body crumpling as the spider lifted him effortlessly into the air. The others watched in horror as it wrapped his body in silk, hanging him like a grotesque trophy from the ceiling. Panic took hold. Mosi shouted, "Run," but Akecheta, driven by a mix of terror and rage, grabbed his spear and charged at the creature. His strike landed, but it barely penetrated the spider's thick exoskeleton. In one swift motion, the spider knocked him aside, its legs slicing through his flesh like knives. Blood sprayed across the cave floor. Mosi grabbed Mado, dragging him toward the cave entrance. "We have to get out of here," he yelled, but Mado wouldn't move, his eyes wide with shock, locked on the mangled body of their brother. Behind them, Wicasa fought valiantly, his spear spinning in a blur of motion, but the spider was too powerful. It lashed out with its legs, striking Wicasa in the chest. He collapsed, his breathing ragged as the spider advanced for the kill. Mosi pulled Mado with all his strength, forcing him to run. The tunnel seemed endless as they sprinted through the darkness, the monstrous hiss of the spider growing louder behind them. They could hear its legs scraping against the stone, its massive body squeezing through the narrow passage. Suddenly, they burst into the open air, the cool night a harsh contrast to the stifling heat of the cave. Mosi didn't stop, and neither did Mado. They ran through the trees, leaping over roots and rocks, their lungs burning, legs trembling. Only when they had reached the safety of their village did they collapse, gasping for air, their bodies covered in sweat and grime. For hours, they sat in silence by the fire, unable to speak of what they had seen. The elders, who had once told them stories of the spider god, an ancient being that lived deep beneath the earth, now looked at them with solemn understanding. They had heard these tales growing up but never believed them, until now. In the following days, a search party ventured to the cave, but no one was willing to go inside. They found the remains of Akachita and Wakasa near the entrance, but there was no sign of Chayton. His body had been taken deeper into the cave, where the spider god waited for its next victim. And so, the hunters learned that some places were never meant to be disturbed, and the ancient forces that lived in the earth were better left forgotten. The cave became a cursed place, and the story of the spider god was passed down to future generations as a warning. For Mosi and Mado, the nightmares never stopped. Every night, they dreamed of the cave, of the clicking sound of the spider's legs, and of its many eyes watching them from the darkness. They had escaped the cave, but the spider had left its mark on their souls forever.